Chapter 5 of the updated Philippine Development Plan focuses on building transparent, accountable, and effective institutions leading to efficient delivery of public services and high public trust. The delivery of public services is crucial in achieving a healthy and resilient Philippines. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government will expedite the shift to digital platforms for citizen engagement, service delivery, capacity building, and accountability mechanisms. Over the past 3 years, major reforms enacted, such as the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act, has brought about increased access and improvement of quality of frontline services. Initiatives to automate processes are also being implemented for transactions between government and businesses, between government and citizens, and between and among government agencies. Examples of this are a number of local government units have adopted electronic business permit and licensing systems, and the validity of the Philippine passport has been extended to 10 years. There are, however, a number of challenges being faced by the government. Physical distancing measures necessitate the adoption of alternative work arrangements and digital transaction, which requires the revision of existing government rules and regulations and the establishment of security mechanisms. With the greater role of the LGUs as first responders and frontline delivery service units in times of crisis, their varying levels of institutional capacity, readiness, and leadership affect the pace of delivering services. In order to ensure responsive, people-centered, technology-enabled, and clean governance, the sector aims to achieve four outcomes. Number one is broaden participatory governance. Number two is ensure seamless service delivery. Number three is develop smart and resilient public organizations and future-ready public servants. And number four is to strengthen public accountability and integrity. The strategic framework of Chapter 5 has been expanded to mainstream technology across all outcomes and to improve the agility of the government to adapt to the new normal. A whole of society approach will be implemented to strengthen convergence in achieving the sectoral outcomes. For the rest of the plan period, greater coordination and complementation amongst agencies and non-government organizations will be pursued to drive the achievement of these outcomes. The PDP identifies different strategies to achieve the four outcomes. For broadening participatory governance, the government will promote a culture of informing, engaging, and empowering citizens to ensure that programs and projects and public policies are inclusive and responsive to the needs of the different sectors. To achieve this, the government will, number one, proactively seek citizens' perspective for responsive government interventions. Agencies will proactively solicit comments and suggestions from citizens using a three-pronged approach, providing adequate venues for engagement, communicating in clear language, and collaborating with other sectors. Number two, ensure public access to transparent strategic risk communication. With the right information, the public can provide insights and possible solutions that the government can use in crafting policies, plans, programs, and projects. Specific initiatives include mainstreaming the use of technology, such as the use of online platforms, which will be maximized to provide timely and responsive public information. Response and feedback mechanisms will be localized and expanded. We will also ensure that data privacy rights of citizens remain protected under the e-programs. Number three, intensify organizational and electoral reforms. Electoral reforms will be intensified while observing risk mitigation protocols for the citizenry. For this subsector, there are two core indicators to measure progress. These two indicators are the Worldwide Governance Indicator, Voice and Accountability Dimension, and the Open Budget Index. The values presented in the slide are the end of plan targets. For ensuring seamless service delivery, all of government will be engaged in streamlining policies, processes, and procedures. For ensuring seamless service delivery, all of government will be engaged in streamlining policies, processes, and procedures while ensuring interoperability to facilitate the shift towards e-governance. Better service delivery strategies and new programs will be co-created among related agencies, relevant stakeholders, and citizens. We will strengthen the whole of government approach in delivery of key services, enhance regulatory quality, and boost the capability of LGUs as first responders and frontline delivery service units. For the remaining plan period, initiatives will include sustaining the automation of government processes through the full implementation of the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act, and increasing people's access to public services through reconfigured government systems pursuant to the PhilSys Act. This subsector outcome also highlights the need to build the capacities and prepare the systems of LGUs for the implementation of the Supreme Court ruling in the Mandanas case. There are four core indicators to measure progress of this subsector outcome. These are the regulatory quality dimension of the World Governance Index, the Global Competitiveness Index, the Global E-Government Development Index, and the Government Effectiveness Dimension of the World Governance Index. The EGDI was included as a new indicator to capture the progress of the adoption of e-governance, which is crucial in the new normal. On developing smart and resilient public organizations and future-ready public servants, the government will enable smart and resilient public sector organizations, as well as develop and sustain a core of smart and future-ready public servants by supporting capacity building interventions and infusing technology in human resource management. To achieve this, we will number one, strengthen competencies for innovation, anticipatory planning, risk management, and emergency response. Number two, continue training and capability advancement of government executives and high-level civil servants. Number three, promote shared public sector values. And number four, integrate risk assessment and anticipatory response in human resource policies, programs, and systems. Furthermore, this subsector outcome highlights the formulation and rehearsal of public service continuity plans of government agencies to ensure that gains and developments in the government are guarded from disruptions caused by crisis. On strengthening public accountability and integrity, the government will focus on intensified interagency and whole of society efforts in reducing corruption through education, prevention, and enforcement. Technology-enabled platforms will be utilized to strengthen anti-corruption mechanisms. The government will strengthen public accountability and integrity by engaging citizens in anti-corruption drives, integrating anti-corruption measures in risk reduction and management framework for disasters and other forms of crisis, and the strengthening of monitoring and enforcement mechanisms for accountability. The control of corruption dimension of the World Governance Index and the Corruption Perceptions Index serve as core indicators for this subsector outcome. The following legislative agenda will be pursued. Number one, the Freedom of Information Act. which will address transparency issues on government data, thus promoting meaningful and increased participation of the people in government decision making and public accountability. Number two, the review of the Voters Registration Act of 1996, Automated Election Systems Act, and the Fair Elections Act, which will allow for online registration and online voting and facilitate risk mitigation measures for the 2022 national and local elections. Number three, the Budget Modernization Act, which will support the expansionary fiscal policy of the government in response to COVID 19 through number one, streamlining the cash budgeting system. Number two, strengthening the Bureau of Treasury's oversight function over government bank accounts. Number three, providing the legal basis for upholding the validity of online financial transactions. Number four, giving DBM the power over internal audit standards. And number five, instituting participation in government budgeting. Number four, the National Planning and Development Act, which will strengthen horizontal and vertical coherence of policies, plans, and programs among agencies and across administrative units. And number five, the amendments to the Telecommuting Act of 2018, which will institutionalize flexible and alternative working arrangements for government employees providing non-frontline public services.